So I don't know if any of you here listen to Japanese pop music, but I have for a long time. Since about 2000 or 2001. I was never really into anime or manga outside of stuff like Hon no Tane or the works of Junji Ito or Hideshi Hino. I can probably name more enka singers than mangaka, so I guess it's strange. But it goes without saying that in Japan and South Korea, the whole idol scene's really huge. So for today's video, we're going to be talking strictly about Japanese idols, and to clarify, the title Dark Side doesn't mean that idols themselves have a dark side, but it means that dark events have happened surrounding the idol industry, and strange events have happened to some idols, a select few of which will be talked about today. If this video does well, I'll make a second one, as like I said, I know a lot of idol singers, and there are many more interesting and eerie stories like this in the history of Japanese pop music. So without further ado, let's begin. Number 1. Matsuoka Ina. Tenshitsuki Nukiyomi is a reading-themed idol group which was formed in April of 2020 and went on hiatus in July of 2020 due to all but 2 of the original members leaving. In November of 2020, they reformed with 5 new members. One of the original members who left during the first hiatus is the subject of this entry. Matsuoka Ina was a relatively unknown idol, and Tenshitsuki Nukiyomi was a relatively unknown group. But despite their obscurity, they did have their fans, some of whom were more obsessive than others. Miss Matsuoka would frequently post photos of herself smiling, out and about, and enjoying life. And one fan, 26-year-old Sato Hibiki, who was unemployed, spent a lot of his time looking at them. While creepily viewing these photographs, he would look into the eyes of the idol. Being someone, again, with nothing but free time on his hands, he would zoom into her photos, looking for any minute detail that would be able to help him to locate the whereabouts of the idol who was the object of his unsettling affection. The photographs didn't have many clues as to where she could live, and upon looking even closer and zooming into the eyes on her photographs, he was able to make out something. Shapes, buildings, and signs. After cross-referencing this with Google Earth Street View, he managed to mash things up and figure out where exactly she lived. You heard that right. This man was so obsessed that he found out where this idol lived just by looking at the reflection in her eyes. But Sato wasn't content with just creepily finding out where she lived. No. He decided to show up, finding the closest bus station to where he had narrowed down the area of her home to be. The police believed that Sato followed Miss Matsuoka from the station after she finished a concert. Upon spotting her, Sato followed her as she entered her apartment building, placed a towel around her head, and assaulted her. There's not much information on what happened after this, but thankfully Sato was quickly apprehended as apparently he was picked up on the CCTV cameras, and he was sentenced to 30 months in prison, which seems kind of light given the fact that he actually attacked her. While Matsuoka Ina thankfully survived, it's unknown if she'll return to music. Number 2. The AKB48 handsaw incident. AKB48 are an extremely well-known and popular idol group who, if you don't know and haven't heard of them before, have many members. Over 100. There are also many subdivisions of the main group which split off into smaller fractions, and this also helps them to have a larger musical output. Their whole concept is idols you can meet. After the success of Morning Musume, AKB48 was founded in 2005 and grew into a powerhouse over the years. And now they even own their own theater. They're a very big deal these days, to the point that they actually surpassed the group who inspired them. So, remember how I said the whole concept was idols you can meet? Well, this is key to their success, because it helps fans maintain the feeling that they personally know the idols, and that they're close with them. This can be beneficial, and, look for yourself, it seems to have worked. They skyrocketed to success the likes of which few in the Japanese music business have ever seen. but maintaining that level of closeness hasn't always been a good thing. Being the idols you can meet, they have these meetings called handshake events. Basically, anybody can just go down there and meet the idol of their choosing and talk with them briefly and get an autograph. Usually this goes over well, but on May 25th, 2014, things didn't go as planned. During one of their handshake events at the Iwate Industry Culture and Convention Center in Takazawa, Iwate, AKB48 members Kawai Arina and Iriyama Anna were attacked with a foldable handsaw, which had been modified by adding blades from box cutters to the sides by a crazed fan, who was later identified as 24-year-old Umeda Setoru. He had apparently found the handsaw in his home. Satoru had hid the handsaw in a bag which he carried with him into the event. When he was close enough to the two idols, he attacked. Both Iriyama and Kawai suffered bone fractures and lacerations to their hands, with Iriyama's right little finger and Kawai's right thumb fractured and cut, and Iriyama also suffering cuts to her head. A staff member who managed to intervene sustained cuts to his left hand. Luckily, though, Umeda was quickly subdued by the other staff present, and after that, promptly arrested and taken away, thankfully with nobody having lost their lives. Upon interrogation, it turns out that Umeda wasn't even a fan of AKB48 at all. In fact, he resented idols. Essentially, he was an unemployed man with schizophrenia who despised idols due to the fact that they made so much money, and he felt it wasn't a real job. He was at first arrested for attempted murder, but strangely, these charges were downgraded and changed to bodily injury and infringement of weapon regulations, with the prosecutor arguing that it couldn't be sufficiently proven he perceived it as an attempt at murder. According to the police, Umeda was angry that he had lost his job the previous December, and that for him, anyone was good for killing. Anyone was good for killing? And somehow he wasn't charged for attempted murder? Alright then. Anyway, he decided to go for an AKB48 handshake event because he knew that a large amount of people would be gathered there. When the police searched his house afterwards, they found 2 different AKB48 CD singles. Umeda told the court that beforehand, he'd inspected the venue using the event ticket from one, choosing what booth had the shortest queue to prevent his attack from being stopped. During the trial, Umeda denied that he had injured the male staff member, though he eventually would plead guilty to the charges of bodily injury and infringement of weapon regulations. The prosecutor wanted to sentence Umeda to 7 years, but Umeda's lawyer successfully managed to get his prison sentence lowered to 6 years due to extenuating circumstances, such as the fact that Umeda was schizophrenic and also the fact that he had admitted guilt and was regretful for what he did. Due to this attack, both Iriyama Anna and Kawai Arina had to get surgery and were out of the group on hiatus for quite some time. The psychological trauma from the event was so severe that Kawai could no longer attend handshake greetings and eventually left the group altogether, while Iriyama Anna stayed with the group and left in early 2022 to start a YouTube channel. I hope that both of the women have been able to move past this event, along with the staff member who was attacked, and it's strange to me that the attacker wasn't put into a mental hospital indefinitely for what he did. Number 3. Uehara Azumi. So, in the previous entries, the crimes were all committed by someone else against the idols. But what if I told you that this time, the idol herself was the criminal? Well, that's what happened in the case of Uehara Azumi. Now, to set the scene, Miss Uehara wasn't the most popular of idols. I describe her singing voice as sort of like a karaoke version of Hamasaki Ayumi. She could definitely sing, and she was pretty good, but she didn't really have anything that made her stand out, if that makes sense. Like if you were to show her songs to somebody, it might make sense if you believed they were some sort of unreleased demos of Miss Hamasaki. But anyways, Uehara made her debut on a small record label called Giza Studio, which featured other singers of a similar stature in the industry such as Ayochirina, Komatsu Miho, and Kuraki Mai. Much of the nature of this label and the artists involved seems to revolve around creating theme songs for various anime. For example, Miss Uehara recorded her debut, which was a song called Aoi Aoi Kono Hoshi ni, and became the ending song for an anime called Detective Conan. Her song used in this anime was very popular and helped to propel her debut album Mushoku to chart success and to sell a fair amount of copies. Given the success of her debut album, all seemed to be going well for Miss Uehara, and she continued to make music and even released a second album called Ikitaku wa Nai Bokura in 2006. But shortly after, things came to an abrupt halt, when in 2007, she found herself embroiled in a scandal in which, apparently, a group of men and herself set up a prostitution thing, and for a very large amount of money, Uehara would engage in intercourse with various businessmen and basically do a girlfriend experience type situation. So imagine this, you're a businessman and you want to go on a date or have you-know-what with an idol. Well, apparently you could go to Miss Uehara and they could set something up where basically she'd pretend to be your girlfriend. Needless to say, this didn't go according to plan for the men because once Uehara got the money, she would meet them, they'd have sex once, and then she would leave and never speak to them again. She'd basically ghost them. Imagine the world's most expensive escort ever, and you've kind of got the idea of what was going on. This didn't go over well and she was eventually caught, but somehow she managed to get away scot-free with no charges being filed. But this wasn't necessarily a good ending for Miss Uehara. She was dropped from Giza Studio the same year, and you would think that would be where the story ended. But sadly, no. She seemingly disappeared for a few years until 2010 when she would take on a new stage name, Nagahara Yui, and would venture into the world of adult entertainment. There's nothing wrong with that, but in screenshots and videos she doesn't exactly seem very enthusiastic. The videos all have kind of an uncomfortable feeling about them. Eventually, she quit this too, and since about 2015, there aren't really any updates on what happened to her at all. Number 4. Ijima Ai. Now, you might have seen Furuda Junko, a teenage girl who was infamously kidnapped, tortured, assaulted, and held captive for over 40 days before being murdered in 1989 and put into a concrete-filled oil drum in the thumbnail and wondered why she was there, thinking that maybe it was clickbait or something, and wondering what she has to do with idols at all. Well, believe it or not, her being there isn't clickbait. And according to some people, she actually does have a connection with an idol. The idol's name? Ijima Ai. Now, Miss Ijima wasn't known primarily for her music, but she did make a few songs over the years. Initially, she was more known for her adult videos, of which she starred in over 100, and later found much greater fame as a television personality for the show Girugamesh Naito. Then as a writer and voice actress for video games such as Magical Poppin' and as an activist for HIV and AIDS awareness in Japan. In her time, not many people in Japan, especially celebrities, were willing to talk about the HIV and AIDS epidemic, but she was one of the few who was. She even got her very own video game, Good Island Cafe for the Sega Saturn. You might notice that I'm speaking about her in past tense. That's because she sadly passed away in 2008 at the age of 36. Strangely, her cause of death was just listed as pneumonia, and there were rumors which still persist to this day that she either took her own life or died due to complications from the AIDS virus. As I stated before, it was very unusual for a celebrity to speak about this in Japan. To this day, people are still unsure of what exactly caused her death. And it does seem rather strange for a 36-year-old woman who, by the way, was pictured looking healthy and out and about just 10 days prior to her death, would suddenly develop pneumonia and die. Anyway, Earlier I mentioned her video game Good Island Cafe, and after searching for it because I saw she sang a song for the game, I noticed something strange in the comments section on YouTube for the song. One person wrote, "Rot in hell," and another person wrote, "This song is trash." I believe she doodled on Junko Furuta's face while Junko was held captive by her boyfriend. Junko is stunning, unlike this woman. This confused me. I had heard of Ejima Ai before this, and I listened to a lot of obscure music from Japan, but I'd never seen anyone connect her to the case of Furuta Junko, much less say that she was there during the torture and drew on her face. So I did a bit of digging. I couldn't find much, but I did find a few comments in English about the subject. In one, someone said, "Many online rumors talk about Ai Ejima participated in the abuse of Junko Furuta. The source of the rumors is that Miyano, one of the people who killed Junko Furuta, once admitted that he was in a relationship with a female artist when he was imprisoned. As an AV actress, Ai Ejima, who was also born in Tokyo around the same area, immediately became the subject of suspicion in the online investigation. However, this speculation actually came from a best friend and colleague of Ai Ejima who was drunk and used it to attract tabloid reporters. Its credibility can be imagined. Since Ai Ejima herself died of pneumonia in 2008, it's difficult to confirm this claim. I tend to think that this is a malicious rumor. Another user, this one on Quora, clarifies things a bit better, saying, "Two well-known TV personalities have been groundlessly associated with the atrocious murder of the innocent high school girl Furuta Junko. Ai Ejima, who drastically leveled up from the status of AV actress and triggered the underground, rather ridiculed genre of AV to attract a wider attention and recognition, and Smiley Kikuchi, a comedian who once got an explosive popularity as a lookalike of adorable Korean actor Bae Young-joon. An uncountable number of anonymous internet posts have stigmatized them as accomplices of that heinous attack, while no concrete evidence has been presented so far. What's worse, some heartless netizens slanderously alleged that Matsu Okubo, a delinquent girl who would later be famed as Ai Ejima, was present in the venue of the murder as a girlfriend of one of the murderers, and scribbled graffiti on the murdered girl's face with a felt-tip pen. Ai Ejima clearly denied this multiple times in public, before her sudden death in 2008. Smiley Kikuchi can be explained as the second victim of this sensational murder case. Some thick-headed netizens audaciously associated this newly emerging comedian with the case just because he was born and raised in a Dachi ward where the murder took place. What's more, they purported that he's one of the 4 principal perpetrators and pungently criticized him, while no solid and reliable evidence of his criminal records have been cited thus far. Some acrimonious net participants went so far as to curse him, and a portion of them even threatened him, warning they might kill him. A deluge of slanderous posts on his concocted past misconducts, which were virally circulating the net, afflicted the innocent comedian so much that he came to struggle with instability both in body and mind. In 2008 and 2009, the Tokyo Metropolitan Police identified more than 1,300 people who had posted slanderous comments on him and arrested 19 of them who'd libelled and defamed him to such an extent as to be judged as guilty enough for a judicial punishment. They included an employee of a prestigious company, a computer programmer, a national university staffer, and even a pregnant woman. This heart-aching experience has sarcastically brought him on another mission of lecturing on the terrific aspect of anonymous internet bulletin boards and the significance of indoctrination and proliferation of net literacy through TV appearances and publication of books. So let's get this straight. A friend of Ejima Ai's told reporters for some garbage tabloid magazine that before she was famous, because she lived around the area and grew up in Adachi-ku, which is apparently a sketchy area of Tokyo, she was involved with the torture and murder of Furuta Junko and had drawn on her face and mocked her while she was tied up. I can only presume that this friend said this for money from the tabloid papers. With friends like that, who needs enemies? What's worse is that now this crime's attached to her name, and unlike the other people attacked, she's no longer here to defend herself. Anyway, on that somber note, I hope that you were able to find something interesting in this video. If you found the video interesting and want more videos like this, you can leave a like and subscribe. And I was thinking, if this video is able to get to 50,000 views, I'll make another one because, like I said, there's no shortage of strange events in the idol world in Japan, so hopefully you guys like it. And if you have any constructive feedback on how I structured the video, let me know in the comments. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time, and have a good day.